2024 was my first full year owning a business, and it's safe to say that I learned a lot. That would be an understatement. So, in this video, we're going to kind of talk about the different lessons and experiences in both business and life that I've taken away from this year, really saving it till last minute, December 29th. So, we're going to try to bang this out. Hopefully, it's a good one. For some context, my name's Jack. I'm 19. I own a hockey media business, which in this first year of owning my business, I was able to take it from nothing to $11,000 a month, and we're just getting started, right? Okay, so, just, what was I gonna start with? I did this video last year, so I guess let's kick things off with the lessons that I took away from last year, and then we'll kind of move into this year's video. I'm gonna put some effort in this video and put timestamps and maybe even throw some text up on the screen if I'm feeling absolutely crazy. I never do anything in my YouTube videos, but I think this is something that maybe people could get some value from, so I might as well make it as easy to consume as possible. So if you'd like to go ahead and skip to the actual video, do that. So 2023 lessons, the first one I have on here was the way people treat you is a reflection of how they feel about themselves. Number 2 is winning is more fun than fun is fun. This was a podcast title between Andy Frisella, Ed Milet, and Sal Frisella. It was like one of those podcasts, but I can't find it on YouTube anymore. I used to love it. It was great. Ed Milet's an absolute G. But yeah, winning is more fun than fun is fun. And I'm not going to go too in depth on that. I think it's pretty self-explanatory, but check out the other video if you want to know what I was thinking behind that. The third lesson is the speed between losing and learning, and how, the quicker you can go from messing up, making a mistake, taking a loss, like just eating shit, to taking away a lesson from it and learning, that's going to speed up your progress a lot. So I like that lesson. That's probably one of my favorite lessons, is like the quicker you can go from losing to learning is going to help you a lot. Number 4, the more you track, the more you win. I'm pretty sure this is an Alex Hormozi lesson, like one of his sayings, but it's very applicable, and only becomes more applicable the more complicated your business gets, because if you don't have data to like figure out where your actual issue is, like how are you going to solve the problems in your business and get your business to go forward? So I love that. What is that? Number 5, this is a good one. People don't think what you're doing is cool. This was like a crazy realization for me last year, because like I thought that getting an entrepreneurship was like such a cool, like edgy thing to do. And the reality is, like, people are focused on their own lives and they don't really care what you have going on. Especially when, like, I feel like entrepreneurship nowadays is so cliche. Like, everyone's got the little like entrepreneur thing in their Instagram bio, and they're just talking about how they're like, but they're just talking. It's all talk. Like, they don't actually operate a business. So I don't know. I don't want to get mixed in with those kind of people, but that's why I kind of don't really talk about what I do. So that was a lesson from last year that I then applied to, how I act this year. Nobody really knows what I got going on until very recently. I talked a little bit about, what I'm growing and how things are going, which is exciting. People still don't care. So, it's a good lesson. Kill the ego. Number 6, be better on your bad days than most people are on their good days. This is kind of like you're only as good as you are on your worst days thing. I think it's a pretty good lesson. And then the last one was, you're a reflection of who you spend your time with and what kind of information you consume. It's a pretty cliche lesson, but it's definitely true. Like, I don't really spend my time with anyone nowadays, and I think I only become more ruthless of how I spend my time, which is going to be kind of one of the lessons in this video. Okay, so we made it through the 2023 lessons. Quick, brief, I guess, first off, for the people who do consistently watch my YouTube channel, I'm sorry for the lack of posts lately. I'm not a full-time YouTuber. I've been kind of busy running my business, but, I believe anyone can make time for anything. So I'll be honest, like, it just hasn't been a priority to come on here and talk. I also kind of realized that, like, the content that I post is not the kind of content that I would consume at all. Like, I don't really watch. If I see a video that's less than, like, 40 minutes, like, I'm probably not clicking on it, to be honest, because I don't really sit and watch YouTube videos. I listen to stuff while I'm driving or walking or at the gym. So, excuse me, the new tonic's fizzing up. So good, so good. Okay. Yeah, I wouldn't watch my own content. So I kind of want to, maybe I just release a long ass video every single month. So we'll see how long we can make this one. I think I have a good amount to talk about, but and kind of the people that I would want to watch my YouTube videos would probably be consuming the same stuff that I'm consuming. So, yeah, I guess let's get into it. Lesson number 1. This is definitely more of a business lesson. You shouldn't have open hours as an entrepreneur. You don't have hours as an entrepreneur in the beginning, fundamentally. I cannot tell you how many thousands of dollars I would have missed out on by not being willing to do business on holidays, or do business at 10 o'clock at night, or talk to people on weekends, or you have to kind of meet people where they're at, for example. So when I was running Facebook ads, I would literally, people would fill out the lead form at midnight, and I'd be up working on something, and I would reach out to them. I'd be like, hey, see, you're still up too. Figured I'd just reach out, blah, 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 and say my whole little thing. And people would answer because you're meeting them where they're at. The human attention span is so small, and they might forget in the morning that they even fill out your form. And they're like, who's this person calling me now? And they're going to hang up. You want to get them when they're as hot as possible. And I've kind of noticed that by making yourself more available for people when it's convenient for them, you're going to get a lot more business. I cannot tell you how many times I've had hour-long business calls at 10 o'clock on a Friday night. What are we doing? But people appreciate that. And, if you want to make yourself accessible to as many people as possible and give yourself the most amount of shots on goal, you have to be willing to do that. And I think that if you're not willing to do that, if you want to take your week, dude, what are you doing taking a weekend off? You just don't want to win. Who's not willing to do business on a weekend? That does not make sense to me. I don't get it, because if you're not willing to do that, your competitors are. And I think that if you're not going to meet the customer where you're at, you're going to lose a lot of potential customers, because most people want to do what's easy for them. Most people want to be this person can't talk now. You don't know if you're going to get the chance to talk to that person again. So why not? You're not doing anything more important than talking to a potential customer at 10 p.m. on a Friday night, are you? I don't think so. So get on the phone with them, help them out. And I've noticed people appreciate that extra when they're like, wow, I really appreciate you taking my call at this late at night, whatever, yada, 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 yada. So, I don't know, I just think a lot of people don't do that. A lot of people take holidays off. I was working leads on Christmas Eve, dude, because that's when people were filling out the form. So, you gotta be willing to do that. And I think that it's a pretty simple lesson, but I think a lot of, especially small business owners, they just don't want to, you're taking a weekend off. What are you doing? What if that person never answers you ever again? You had one chance to talk to them. Lesson numero dos. You have no problems in your business until you are supply constrained, until you physically cannot service the amount of customers you're getting, the amount of inquiries, the amount of leads. You can't handle it. I would have gotten to where I got this year in half the time if I recognized this sooner and stopped trying to solve problems that weren't really the big, because sure, you can fix your website and it's going to look a little nicer. Sure, you can, analyze your social media insights and figure out how you're going to get people to watch through the whole video. Or there's an unlimited list of things you can work on in your business, but you don't even really, you need to make money. And you don't really, there's nothing stopping you from getting to where you want to get to until you get to that point where you are constrained by the amount of people you can service. I don't really know how else to say it, but all the stuff you're working on is not really, it wouldn't make the same impact as if you were 100 times the amount of leads you're getting. It just wouldn't, because there's gonna be a point where and that's so powerful. That's so powerful when you literally have too much demand. You can't handle it. You can raise your prices. You can create scarcity. You like, it's just so good for your business. But then it also is like, oh shit, like I need to solve these problems to get to the next level, because like, you know, what got you here won't get you there. But the first stage of business, like, you know, I'm no genius and I don't claim to have all the answers, but like this, the $0 to $11,000 a month that I did this year, like, it's all at like 90% advertising. Like, you don't run into an issue. Like, okay, I'm gonna add a caveat. Like, first, you have to get good at what you're doing and be confident that like what the service you're offering is going to help people, provide value, and like be worth their money. Like, that's absolute number one. I talk about this in my other videos, how I took a stage in my business to like, you know, slow down and make sure what we're doing is good. And that's why you should start out for free. Like, you start out for free and get proof of concept and like that people like what you're doing and you can do a good job, and then you advertise the shit out of it until you can't anymore. So that's my one caveat. Like, make sure what you're selling is good first. But once you figure out what you're selling is good and people like it, all you should be doing is advertising. Like, when I tell you, looking back on this past year, I would have gotten to where I got in half the time if I just did that sooner. If I just like stopped, I shut out all the other imaginary problems that were in my head and just started like, okay, I'm gonna advertise until I can't advertise anymore at the current state of my business. Because then when you get there, then there's other problems you have to figure out to get to the next level, because it's like, oh shit, like we don't have enough people to service this demand. Like in my instance, I couldn't work all the leads that were coming in, fulfill the service, deal with the people who are also fulfilling the service, like my photographers and videographers that I'm contracting. Like, I couldn't give them the right info, maintain the social media posting, keep up with current customers, editing that. Like, I couldn't physically do all of it at once. And that's when I knew it's like, okay, like we got to the place where we were constrained by supply. Like, I had to turn down money, like often in November and December and the end of October. Like, I was like, we can't be there. Sorry, I clearly took a long recording break, evident by the darkness outside. Another thing I kind of want to add to the whole lead generation side of things and getting so booked that you can't handle the amount of demand is you can think so much clearly when you're not worried about where your next dollar is coming from. Like, you kind of just have that caveman, hunt it, kill it, drag it inside instinct when you don't have lead flow. But I was astonished. Like, when this first started happening, I was getting like 20, 30 inbound leads a day. And I'm like, what on, like, I used to be lucky if I got 1 or 2, 5 a week. I'd be lucky if I got 5 a week. But it was unreal. I had never, like, I was astonished. I was like, this is awesome. Like, we were marketing like crazy. I was getting like 3 or 4 bookings a day. And then bookings I had to turn down because I'm like, we can't even be there. Sorry, we're already booked. And like, when you, like, as a small business, when you go from like just struggling to be like, I need people to buy my service, to just like flowing in a pile of cash, it's crazy. It's a crazy, and you know, pile of cash is obviously relative. Like, I just told you, like, the most, like, last month I did $11,000. Like, nothing, like, it's not crazy, but when you go from like 4 to 11, like, that's a big jump. And yeah, like, I just think that the one thing that's very underestimated about having consistent lead flow is you can just think so much clearer when you're not freaking out about how you're going to get business. You can actually see the business from like an outside perspective, kind of, and not be so caught up in the trenches where like, we need to get bookings now. So seriously, like, the things that you're working on that aren't getting more customers, they're kind of not relevant. And not only that, you'll be able to work on them better when you are getting a lot more customers. Like, you can fix parts of the business that you otherwise wouldn't have time to fix when you have like an ad running in the background and people are like, sure, you have to work the leads and all that, but it's like constant eyeballs. This is definitely gonna be one of the like longer parts of the video, but I'm just hammering on it because it's so important. And like, if we're looking at this list of things, like, if I did this sooner, this probably would have made the biggest difference, I think. And I don't know where I'd be at now. Like, I'd probably be a little bit ahead. So, I just think that you can hear it so many times, but then the next thing that you feel like you have to work on gets somewhere, you're like, oh no, I have to do this. I can't advertise. I have to go do this. And shout out to Max Silverman, a little YouTube mutual on here. His channel, he has a photography business too. He made a video and he was talking about like how this is something he's struggling with actively. He's like, I don't have bookings for the next like month, but I'm like convinced I need to do other things, and I have to like keep telling myself that like I just need to worry about booking, and until I'm fully booked, then I have nothing else to worry about. And that's kind of what, you know, gave me the idea for the lessons. Like, you really do have nothing else to worry about until you have customers. And the great part about having customers is if you do a good job with those customers, but you also still have the lead flow coming in, it's like that's just compounding over and over again. And that's what I'm witnessing now. I shut off my ads in November, like the beginning of November, Halloween weekend. I shut off my ads, and December I grew, and I mean November I grew, and December I grew, and that's what happens when you like combine good lead generation with a good product that incentivizes repeat customers and referrals and stuff like that. It's like you can't go wrong with that. So you just have to get the thing moving. And then if you fulfill your customers in a good way where they want to keep paying you and they want to tell their friends about you, and then the marketplace sees that positive word of mouth, it's like you're off now. You just have to get it started. And if you're not getting it started and you're making less than $10,000, or like let's say you cap out at $5,000 a month. Let's say you're doing something super labor intensive, or not labor, time intensive. Like let's say you're a single owner of an agency and you provide these people all these services. Maybe you can only take on 3 customers for $2,000 a month. It's like, okay, 6 is my cap, and now I'm demand constrained, or excuse me, supply constrained. Now I have to figure out how to do maybe like a one-to-many service, or raise my prices, hire another person, get a virtual, etc. You know. So until you get to that point, like it's gonna be different for every business. I guess it just happened, and mine happened to be around like 8 to 11 per month. In that range is when I started seeing like I can't do any more where I'm currently at with my staff and our capabilities and all that stuff. But yeah, get there. And once you get there, then you can start figuring out like, oh, maybe I need to optimize this offer. Maybe I need to change how we do these one things. Or, oh, our customer satisfaction scores are going down now that we're dealing with this many people. We have to fix that. Like you won't even see the real problems until you are servicing a lot more people at a higher level on a more frequent basis. So get there first. Like seriously, I could talk about this lesson for hours, but you need to add, like I'm telling you, there's nothing else that will grow your business fast. Like if you're optimizing for growing your business and not just playing business for fun, you need to grow your business by letting people find out that your business exists. And just looking back on this year, like it really blows my mind that I didn't do this sooner. If I would have done this sooner, it would have made a big difference. So do that. Advertise. That is lesson number 2. And what I talked about with the creating a business where people continue to purchase and tell their friends leads nicely into my next lesson, which I actually made a whole video on this lesson. I'll link it. But it's do right by others. Like just do right by other people. There have been times in my business where I've just been like completely overwhelmed. It seemed like everything was going wrong. You know, like it felt like the whole world was crumbling. But I had my contractors / employees, like they were fully paid for, and my customers were fully serviced. And when both of those people are happy, it makes all the other frustrating things going on just way less intense. So like if you have, I don't know, random example. Let's say your website goes down. Let's pretend in this example that your website's your main source of lead generation, your main source of traffic, whatever. If that happens and you have an employee pissed off at you and because you didn't pay him in time, and then you have a customer who's mad because you messed up their whatever you do for them, and they're frustrated and they're now telling everyone, that's going to feel 10 times worse. And it's like, oh shit, our website went down, but all of our employees are happy, they're working, they're paid for, our customers are happy. We just can't generate leads right now because our website's down. Like, those are two completely different scenarios, just if you manage those two variables of happy customers and happy employees. And I can't really, like, I talked a lot about this in the other video, but it's as simple as that. It's like, treat your people good and, like, just do right by others. And I'm such, like, a customer first entrepreneur. Like, that's 100% what I care about the most. Like, if you're paying me money, you're going to be happy. And if you're not happy, I'm going to lose money because I'm going to, like, take a loss to redo your shoot, or, maybe give you a full refund or do another edit for free, or, like, something like that. Like, I always want my customers to be happy because I've seen the impact of word of mouth and referrals, and word of mouth and referrals are the same thing. And not really. Because word of mouth is just, like, the action of talking, and referrals are, like, direct, whatever. And repeat customers too. Like, literally, if I showed you a screenshot of my profit statement, guess what percent of that is repeat customers? Over the past 2 months, it's probably like 75%. And our repeat customer rate, I want to say, is like, it's well over 50. I think it's between 50 and 70. I know it's over 50 though. Like, the people that buy our thing once, more than 50% of those people buy it again. And it's not like some kind of subscription. It's like, just, you pay us, we do this one thing. There's no commitment, no nothing. That's, in my knowledge, incredibly good for the kind of business I run, to get repeat customers like that. Excuse me, coffee break. But yeah, business is hard, and you're gonna run into so much bullshit. But that bullshit's gonna feel a lot worse if you have people mad at you. So, like, that's why I just think, like, just the sentence, do right by others. I live by that. Like, in my day-to-day life, very much in my business. Like, I just think that's, I don't know, I just don't think you can go wrong with that. And I think that, if you put other people first, you're going to get rewarded. Like, it's kind of just going to come all back to you. Like, it's going to make everything else easier. It really is. If you have happy customers that like what you're doing and appreciate how you treat them, and then they go tell their friends, that's great. If you have happy employees, they're going to be incentivized to work harder and do a good job and try to impress you, and they'll be proud, so they'll be promoting you as well. It's like, I know so many people who are, like, bad with money, or, like, bad with paying people, or, maybe don't stick by their word. And I just try to be as so far of an opposite as those other people, like, as possible. Like, I try to be unreasonable with how much I stick with my word, and unreasonable in how good I treat my customers. And, like, I don't know, I think that's such a good way to run your business. And Layla Hormozi talks about this a lot, about how, like, this is going to be like a little medium kind of side tangent type of thing. But when I think about my business far down the line, I don't think about a dollar amount, or I don't think about how many different rinks we're going to be in, how many different people we're going to be servicing a year. I don't really think about that. And I couldn't figure out, like, what was I thinking about, because I have a vision for what my business is going to look like, but I couldn't, like, bring to words what I want it to be. And she says, like, I just want to build a company that people love working at, like a company that, people, where my customers are happy, my employees are happy, and I'm happy running it. Like, that's the goal. So, but that's lesson number 3, excuse me. Just, like, treat other people good. Not really a crazy lesson, but, like, this has helped me out in so many ways, and it really helps reduce the stress, like, being an entrepreneur, when you have the whole weight of the company on your shoulders. Like, if those two people have those two variables, that's all you got to manage. Your customers and your employees, if they're happy, you're relatively good. Like, you can't go that wrong. Number 4, this is a stinger, and some of you guys might not want to hear it, and I kind of didn't want to accept it or feel it happen in person. And that's, like, hitting your goals, what you think used to be your goal, is really, like, the feeling that you expect, it's not the feeling you get. When I realized, I'm going to tell you a quick story about when I realized I had made over $10,000 in that month. And I feel like $10,000 is, like, it's like the peak of beginner business people. Like, it's like, you see all these titles, like, quickest way to make $10,000 a month. Like, here's how I made to. It's like, that's for some reason, like, the first goal. That's like, everyone wants to make $10,000 a month. So, like, that was kind of an initial goal that I had for a while. And by wow, I mean like that whole first year of running a business. Like I just want to, like once I get to $10,000 a month, dude, I'm gonna feel so much more comfortable in my day-to-day life. It's gonna be amazing and all this stuff. And it was November, just, you know, not that long ago. And I knew, like, I could feel it. I'm just looking at the numbers, just not added up, just like, you know, off the top of my head, like putting each individual one down. And I knew, like, I kind of knew we were going to hit it. And this whole month, I'm like, we're going to hit it this month. Like, it's going to happen. And then one night, like, I was going to wait until the end of the month to, like, add it up and be a nice little surprise. But one night, I was updating a couple things on the profit statement. And I'm just, like, putting some of these numbers. I'm like, oh, my God, like, I'm going to hit it. Like, and I remember just, it was like a wave of, like, butterflies and, like, adding these things up and, like, inputting different things and just, like, looking at the numbers. And then finally, I do the little select all, drag down the Excel sheet, like, summer upper, and I saw the number, and I just crashed. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. It was a weird feeling. I kind of talk about it more in depth, like, when it first happened. It's titled, like, when I hit a big goal. Another video I could just link. I don't even know how to link videos, so we're gonna figure that out after I'm done recording. But it was insane. It was really weird. It was like I had all this dopamine leading up to it. When I'm, like, looking at it, I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna hit it, I'm gonna hit it, I'm gonna hit it. And then I drug down, and I saw the number, and I crashed. Like, I just felt like, oh, okay. And it was weird, because it was more like an anxiety release than a buildup of excitement. Like, does that make sense? It was like, just kind of like, whew, like, all right, I did it. Like, whew, it's okay. And that's just like a year ago. Like, that's just not what I would have been thinking it would feel like. It was like, I just thought that it would be, oh my God, like, I did it. But it's really not. And, like, you know, you hear from other people, it's like hitting goals isn't what's enjoyable about being an entrepreneur and making money and stuff like that. It's like, you know, it's the chase. And I guess it was just the first time I really experienced it, like, with my own self, like, just actually experienced what that felt like. And it didn't feel, like, that good. It was just like, oh, like, okay, I did it. Like, hitting goals doesn't feel that significant. That's the lesson. And I think, I mean, I've probably achieved so much this year, like, so many just small milestones. Like, I wouldn't have even believed that I'd be doing this year. Like, I traveled, so, like, I can't even, it's crazy. I really can't even, like, remember off the top of my head all the things I did this year. And we did a lot, like, as a business, as a person. Like, it was a kind of a crazy year. But it's just, like, while these things are happening, like, life kind of goes on. It's like you're on to the next thing. You really don't stop and smell the roses, and it doesn't feel that good. So yeah, that's my lesson. It's like, you're not hitting whatever goal you want to hit is the real. I'm already realizing it. Like, sure, this is a very small, like, first kind of big goal, I guess, but it's just like, I'm just convinced now, like, that's how everything else is gonna feel. It's like, when I hit $100,000 a month, that's how it's gonna feel too. I mean, my lifestyle will probably be a lot different when I hit $100,000 a month, but it's still, like, I don't know. So you really shouldn't be too worked up about your goals, and just know that it's kind of gonna be a letdown when you finally hit them. So, all right, so I know that last one was a little bit of a bummer, but I think this one is kind of a good follow-up to that lesson, and it's a little bit more encouraging and makes what you feel like you're doing is kind of worth it. And that's, you don't realize you're leveling up through those goals, like the goals that you hit. You realize you're leveling up through the actions. Like, when I tell you my day-to-day now is ludicrous and, like, so different than what, like, insanely different than what it was 6 months ago. It's like, that's been my biggest indicator of success from what I've seen so far. It's like, the things that you're doing on a day-in and day-out basis change as you get better at business, as you just improve your skill set. It's like, that's what it's all about. It's about improving your skills, and that's how you, like, even if this business were to go bankrupt, like, I don't know, what happened? Like, why do businesses fail? You know, let's say something terrible happens and blah, blah, blah. I'm screwed, it's over. Like, I could start over and I think get to the same point, like, confidently, I would say I can get to the same point where I am in this business, in another business model, probably even faster. I just feel like I have such a stack of, like, different things I've learned of how to operate a business. I mean, obviously, like, dude, I don't say this like, oh, like I know so much, I'm such a, but like for a year of running a business, like I've definitely learned a lot of skills, which are all applicable and will help me continue to grow my business. So that's like what you should be focusing on when you're like, am I making progress? Like, I really don't think that the goals you hit, whether they're like bank account goals or follower goals or whatever kind of goal, I don't think that's it. Like, I don't think that's the measure of progress. I think the measure of progress is that you consistently get better at working, meaning you can work more efficiently for longer periods of time, and produce higher quality work. Um, the actions that you have, or the actions you take, have a higher output, so you are doing things that are more worth it for your time. I just, what's another good measure? Yeah, I'd say becoming better at working and working on things that are more important, like over time. Like that's how you, that's a good measure of success. That you're what you do, and it doesn't necessarily get harder because you become better with it. And this is I've talked about this many times throughout this year of growth. Is that like I'll be in a situation where we're doing something new, like the first time I ran Facebook ads, and I was working leads every single day and calling leads every single day and updating the pipeline every single day and watching the dollars in my bank account go down every single day. And that was super uncomfortable for me. But then, like after a couple weeks, maybe even a month, like that just became my daily life. It's like, okay, hey, this is Jack from Puck Pro Media. So, hey, this is Jack from Puck Pro Media. I saw you fill out a form. Yeah, what's going on? Yeah, like, and then update the pipeline. That was a great little act out there. But like that just became my day-to-day life. So it's like what was so hard and terrifying a month ago, it was just the norm now. And it's not only like the actions, but the things I do in my business have become more sophisticated too. Like back in the day, I just had a Google spreadsheet. Like, did I contact this person? Yes. What's their number? Yes. Email them? Yes. Now I have a CRM with pipelines and deal stages and follow-up reminders. So like, you just become, like, you do more of things and you get better at what you're doing. And that leads to progressed actions over time and higher output over time. And it's just, that's where you see the real, like, changes wise, that's literally what I've seen the most. It's just what I'm doing, how well I'm doing it, and what that looks like on a day in and day in and day out basis. I'm talking so fast right now, it's killing me. And I think you should focus on that. Like, instead of focusing on, like, did I make more money this month than last month? Well, what have I been doing? Like, do I deserve to be making more money now? Because I was working way harder, I would say, for the month before I made, or the 2 months before I made the $11,000, because I was making all these ads. I was like doing split tests and stuff, trying to figure out like what worked, calling leads every day, following up leads every day, updating the pipeline, and then that progress like actualized like a month or two later. And that's how it works. It's like what you're working on now is going to be your results in a couple months. So a good leading indicator of where you're going to be is the actions that you're taking now. This is another, like, this is probably equal. I would say this lesson's equal with the you just have to advertise lesson, because, like, you just become better at what you're doing. Like, it's that simple. And then you also become more focused. Like, if you look at my to-do list from this time last year, or my time, like, I log my time, right? So I'm on the clock right now, technically. Like, what I do is it's a crazy-ass notebook with a bunch of numbers, and I just write down, it's like, okay, when did I start this? What category of my business is falling under? Was this customer work, working on the business model, administrative work, where I'm, like, dealing with the photographers, videographers, editors, etc., marketing work, and I write down, okay, 5:10 to 6:10, I was doing this. Right now, I'm making a YouTube video, which I put it under business model, but it's really not. I guess it's business model because, hopefully, maybe one day people that watch this video will work for me or work with me or lead me to an opportunity. So I guess that's why I consider, whatever, side tangent. But the time log, like, it looked crazy last year, but now it's very simply broken. Those excuse me, I'm firing like crazy right now. I've said so much stuff. It's broken down into those sections that I just talked about, because what else are you working on? You're either working on how the business operates itself, like the business model, like how do we make money, just making little tweaks there in your offer, stuff like that. Marketing, so making content, running ads, or reaching out to the people. Customer work, where you're actually fulfilling on the service. And then administrative, where you're like, I guess, dealing with employees, you're just doing random stuff like paying people or accounting or running. I don't know. That's how I break it down, because like if you're not doing those 4 things, what are you doing? Like, you're not really working then. So that's actually really helped. That could have been a whole lesson itself, but like breaking tasks down into those buckets has really changed the way I work, and it helped me cut out a lot of unnecessary stuff. I'm getting on a tangent, so I think what we're going to do is I'm going to stop this video here. Excuse me. And maybe I'll talk a little bit more about this lesson. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll refilm this whole thing. But we're going to finish this off tomorrow and get it posted tomorrow. So we've got 3 more lessons coming after this, I think. But this is probably long so far. Probably about a half an hour video at this point. I don't know. So I appreciate you if you're still watching. And consider this an intermission. And I will be back to recording tomorrow. Yeah, just kidding. Tomorrow got in the way. It's now the 31st, so I really need to bang this video out. But we're back. I kind of watched through everything I had so far. I'm really happy with the lessons that I put out. I think that I don't have 3 more. I think that I have 1 or 2 more maybe, and then a little outro to hopefully get you fired up for the new year, because we waited till literally the last minute. I don't want to add stuff that's like bloat. I really just want to hit on the most important things that I've learned. So with that being said, number 5 would be consume niche content, right? And you're probably like, what do you mean by niche content? And I mean content that's like specific to the skill set that you're trying to learn. And I think these past 2 lessons and this one, like, they all kind of tie in together, especially this and the last one. I think that a lot of my progress has been expedited by like just doubling, tripling, quadrupling down on a single topic and learning as much as I could about that thing and not listening to anything else. For example, like when I started running Facebook ads, all I paid attention to were podcasts around Facebook ads. It's like, okay, how do you do the targeting? How do you hook the audience with the the copy? How do you get their attention with the creative? And then when I started getting leads, I was consuming a lot of sales content, a lot of human psychology content, just figuring out like, okay, like, what do I say when they answer the phone? Like, how do I transition into pitching my service? And like, what do I even say? And then after I was too booked with all these leads, I'm like, okay, like, I gotta get some systems in place, so I'm consuming a ton of systems content. And how do I like standardize my business and get everything kind of centralized and in a good spot? And that's kind of still where I'm at right now. But like, I'm not a fan. Like, I don't just consume motivational content, or like sometimes if I'm like half listening, like working in the background, I'll listen to people's stories. Like, I'm a big fan of that, like entrepreneurs who just go on like the regular like get interviewed type of podcast and they talk about their upbringing. I like that. But I think that like whatever problem you're actively solving in your business, you want to listen to as much information on that as possible, but only that, because like your brain really can't take in that much information to learn a ton at once. That's why like people kind of, it's known that people kind of have it wrong by, I'm going to try to read all these different books this year, when maybe you just read 2 books 3 times each or something like that, or 1 book 5 times, because you're going to learn a lot more from that. So that's why I think, and by the way, this is an Alex Hormozy lesson. Like, he's the one who talks about consume content related to the constraint of your business. I was just doing this for a while, and then I heard him say, and I'm like, oh, like, that's literally what I do. Like, when I'm trying to learn something, I don't really watch any general business content. I kind of just pay attention to, like, how do I learn this specific skill? And then once I learn that skill, I don't really, like, I can't tell you the last time I've consumed stuff around, like, a Facebook ad thing, because I'm pretty confident in my ability to run Facebook ads now. But, there's going to be one day where it's like, oh, I need to do natural targeting, or I need to scale my Facebook ad budget, and, like, now I need stuff to learn now. Like, so, there's always things you need to learn, and I think if you can, like I consume business content every single day because I drive a lot. Like there's so many long car rides this year. I've done a lot of traveling. Every day, literally every day when I make lunch, I go downstairs, I'm cooking, and I have my headphones on, and I'm listening to something that's like educating me. Sorry, I got a call. But yeah, like I don't think you should try to just listen to all these different, like, same thing with people. Like, why would you want to listen to a ton of different entrepreneurs? Because everyone has different, like, I don't know. I have a pretty high bullshitometer, and I think a lot of the people, like, I just don't want to be, like, I set the bar really high by starting out business content, like, consumption, listening to Alex Hormozy and Ed Milet and Andy Frisella, because, like, I just have such a high, like, oh, like, what is this person even talking about? Because obviously, like, those three have built humongous businesses, like, over $100 million. So when I listen to someone who's maybe made 50 or 10 and they're talking about like something completely contradictory to what like Alex, Ed, or Andy say, I'm just like, what are you even talking about? So I think that not only consuming like the right content in the sense of like the topic, but like find a couple people who you really like. Like I think I probably watch every single Alex Hormozy video. Like every time there's a new video, I listen to it. I don't really watch any of it, but like I listen to it. And like same thing with Andy Frisella. And I think that, I mean, there's plenty of people I've been getting really into lately, but like I don't scroll my YouTube feed and listen to everyone's podcast. Like I find a couple different people that I like and I listen to them. So I think that's big too. Just having a focus on like what you're trying to learn. And I really have learned like so much from consuming niche content. Like just, oh, like I'm gonna make this tweak because this person said it, like I'll try and see if it works. And maybe like I hear someone say, multiple different people say the same thing, and I'm like, oh, like I should probably try this now. And it just helps move everything forward. And I think if you like don't know what to do next, podcasts are a very useful, like the right podcast, of course, they're a very useful source of information. So I honestly think I'm gonna end it with that. Kind of just going over like what we talked about. I would say like these all touch on important things that have helped me get to where I am, which is like that you don't have open hours. One, like that's one where it's just like work hard, like be available, like be willing to work when other people don't want to work. So that's one. You don't have problems till you're supply constrained. Market, that's how people are gonna find out about your stuff. Do right by others is just like a regular like human rule. I think more people should be kind, and I kind of just feel like obligated. Like I don't ever want to be the bad guy. Maybe that's like a little weak of me in some scenarios, but like I just want to be, I want to make people happy, make people feel good. So do right by other people. I think that's just a life lesson, to be honest. That'll obviously help you out in business, and hitting goals doesn't feel significant. It's kind of just like, I don't know. I almost wish I didn't talk about that one, because what if it like stops people from wanting to hit their goals? But then I think I follow that up really well with the next one, which is like the best leading indicator of your success is like you're doing harder things, you're working better, you're producing a higher output per unit of input. Like that's good for the people who haven't hit their goals yet, but they're like, oh, like I'm doing better. So it's like and that's where you're really gonna find the joy, like realizing you're getting better. And like the actualizing of success isn't as exciting as you'd probably want it to be, but that's okay. And then consuming niche content, like that's an easy thing anyone can do. It's like pick what you're trying to fix in your business. Like maybe you don't have enough leads. Consume marketing stuff. Pick like there's niches within niches. Or like pick I want to do cold outreach. Like okay, listen to a whole bunch of cold outreach information. Read some cold outreach books. Like understand. Like guideline, like that's probably important I never really did cold outreach, but like legal guidelines, like am I even allowed to reach out to this person with privacy laws and shit. So, like that's all stuff you want to do. And I think that if you're like content itself isn't going to help you, like you're not going to learn from just listening to podcasts, but like I think you can learn a multiple faster by listening to specific stuff and then executing on on that specific stuff. Like I think that's going to help a ton. So do that. And yeah, guys, I think that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found these valuable. And like I really, it's crazy. Like you can do a lot, but you just have to stick with it. Like really, like it just comes down to working on it. And when I tell you, like I really worked pretty much every single day this year. Maybe there are a couple. We'll call them half days, like less than 4 hours. Um, but like every single day, I would say I pretty much moved my business forward. Like last year, I said the same thing, but there was like one specific day where I'm like, I didn't do a single work. I didn't single unit of work. I didn't even pick up my phone or do anything. But like now, it's like I can pretty much say like I did something every day to move the ball in my business forward. And a lot of those days were 10 hour. Like I can show you guys. Like I'll send you the link if you want. Like I'll show you I log my time. I know how much I work every single day, and not just like, oh, like, I was working, but I was on my phone or I was eating lunch. Like these are, oh, like from 4:50 to 5:13, I was doing, like, it's that serious. So I kind of know what I'm doing. But sorry, side tangent, not even important to the video, but like seriously, like you can do a lot in a year. It's just a matter of choice and priority, to be honest. Like, I mean, I dropped out of college this year, so I was like, I'm not spending it. I literally just stopped doing my work at the end of the semester last year. I'm like, I'm not going back to school. Like, why am I wasting my time on this? My parents don't even know that, so I mean, if they see this now, I'm sorry. I appreciate you sending me to college, but hopefully this will produce a lot better result. But like, yeah, just like figure out what you need to do and do it. And I don't know, I don't have any other magic keys to success in that, but like do stuff, learn from what's working, learn from what's not working, and you just gotta keep moving forward. It's as simple as that. And like when I seriously look at, maybe not this year, like last year, I was really learning a lot about myself and how the world works and just getting into, being a better person, being a better business person. But like the year before that, dude, I was a mess. And the year before that, I was even more of a mess. So it's like, just looking back over these past 3 New Years, call it, a lot has changed, and you can really do that too. And it all starts with just now. Like, what are you gonna do now? Like, what are you gonna take away from this video or any other video you watched? You're gonna start now. Like, I don't know. That's it. Happy New Year. I'm very sorry for the extremely late video. Hopefully you see this before the New Year. If not, it doesn't really matter, but I wanted to get it out before the New Year. So yeah. Kill it this year, guys. See ya.